8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news, edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The President says the duty of the government is to open avenues to income generation to meet the budget gap. Economists stress having a TIN does not mean that a person is liable for paying tax. The government says no firm decision on lifting the ban on private motor vehicle imports. Sri Lanka has recorded over 25,000 tourist arrivals within the first 4 days of the year. Sri Lanka has spent $326.5 million on imported vegetables last year. The Afghan Trust Fund announces Afghanistan's blocked assets have generated approximately $155 million in profit. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government should take measures to meet the gap of the budget. He said the duty of the government is to open avenues to income generation. He added that there is no need to worry about the export economy and that collaboration with other countries will only strengthen the nation's strength. Addressing the gathering at the 125th anniversary of the Young Men Buddhists Association YMBA held at the PMICH in Colombo, the President said the country no longer can exist as a bankrupt island. The President also commended the services rendered by the YMBA for the benefit of the nation so far. Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa also participated at the event. Professor Vasant Attukorala of the Department of Economics and Statistics of the University of Peradeniya says there is a lot of misinformation circulating all over the country in connection with the tax identification number TIN or TIN today. He says the process is a timely measure and having a TIN does not mean that a person is liable for paying tax. It means having access to many services offered by many state institutions without any trouble. He said only Sri Lankans who are above the age of 18 and earn over 100,000 rupees monthly and over 1.2 million rupees annually need to pay income tax and no other Sri Lankan needs to pay tax. He stressed a fine of not more than 50,000 rupees can be imposed under Article 177 of the Inland Revenue Act for those who are above the age of 18, eligible to obtain a TIN but do not have a TIN. He claimed the process will make it easier for the government to fine those who are not paying taxes. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The government has not yet reached a firm decision on lifting the ban on private motor vehicle imports. The State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe said yesterday that the prime focus of the government is to uphold the economic stabilization process at an acceptable threshold. He added that the cautious approach was being taken to safeguard the economic gains achieved so far. He stressed the government will abstain from taking any hasty decisions that could jeopardize the route of ongoing economic stabilizations. He made these remarks in response to the question raised by a journalist to know whether the government planned to lift the ban on private car imports as speculated in industry circles. Meanwhile, the Association of Vehicle Importers has conveyed their intentions to initiate the necessary measures to import cars to resume targeting vehicles with an engine capacity of less than 1,000 cc's within the upcoming month. This move is seen as a strategic step to stabilize foreign reserves, and the association has emphasized the focus on importing vehicles with smaller engine capacities. Sri Lanka has recorded over 25,000 tourist arrivals within the first 4 days of the year. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority said a total of 25,619 tourist arrivals were recorded from the 1st to the 4th of January, out of which 5,060 were identified as Russian nationals, while 3,333 were identified as Indian nationals. A majority of the tourists were identified as Russian and Indian nationals. Germans, Americans, British, Australians, Chinese, French and Dutch tourists too were amongst the arrivals. The SLTDA said Sri Lanka barely missed its target of 1.5 million tourist arrivals in 2023, having recorded a total of 1,487,303 tourist arrivals. However, as per the SLTDA, they expected to see 2.3 million tourist arrivals within this year. Sri Lanka has spent $326.5 million on vegetable imports from January to November 2023. It was an increase from the $297.2 million recorded for the same period in 2022. According to a press release by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the import expenditure on vegetables from January to November 2023 amounted to $326.5 million, with the expense for November being recorded as $29.3 million. From January to November 2022, $297.2 million has been spent spent for the import of vegetables. The Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amarveera said the sum was spent on items such as potatoes, garlics, onions and fruits such as grapes, apples and oranges.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government should take measures to meet the gap of the budget. He said the duty of the government is to open avenues to income generation. He added that there is no need to worry about the export economy and that collaboration with other countries will only strengthen the nation's strength. Addressing the gathering at the 125th anniversary of the Young Men Buddhist Association YMBA held at the BMS in Colombo, the president said the country no longer exists as a bankrupt island.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
This is Watchlight.
The Health Ministry has decided to declare Special Dengue Prevention Week starting from January 7th. Within the week, cleaning campaigns as well as dengue prevention and awareness campaigns will be carried out island-wide. Addressing the media, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, the Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, invited people to render their fullest cooperation in making the campaign a success.
Coming up, World News.
The Afghan Trust Fund announces Afghanistan's blocked assets have generated approximately $155 million in profit. Thousands of passengers face flight cancellations after major US airlines grounded dozens of Boeing jets. Polls open in Bangladesh election boycotted by opposition. The Afghan Trust Fund board members in Switzerland have announced that a portion of Afghanistan's blocked assets have generated approximately $155 million in profit. The funds were transferred to a trust fund in Switzerland in September 2022. Todo News reported on Friday that Afghanistan's assets of about $3.5 billion in this trust fund have yielded $155 million in profit over 16 months. The Afghan Trust Fund was established in the month of September 2022 to preserve Afghanistan's assets. Approximately 16 months have passed since its establishment. Afghanistan's economic system and banking stability were deeply affected after the Taliban administration came into power, impacting the lives of millions. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the need for humanitarian assistance increased from 6.3 million in 2019 to 28.3 million people in 2023. However, as Shah Mohammad Mehrabi, a member of the Afghan Trust Fund in Switzerland, pointed out, this trust fund was not designed for humanitarian initiatives and is intended to be used in a particular manner for economic projects. Thousands of passengers face flight cancellations after major US airlines grounded dozens of Boeing jets after a mid-flight blowout over Oregon. The US aviation regulator said 171 Boeing 737 MAX 9s must be grounded for checks after part of an Alaska Airlines plane's fuselage fell off on Friday. Alaska said flight disruptions are expected to last into the next week. United Airlines has grounded 79 planes. Disruptions are likely to primarily affect flights in the US. It follows regulator the Federal Aviation Administration FAA ordering immediate inspections of 737 MAX 9s worldwide. Required inspections would take around 4 to 8 hours per aircraft, it said. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency EASA is following the FAA approach, but flight disruptions on the continent are expected to be minimal. EASA said it believes no European airlines operate MAX 9s with configuration covered by the FAA order. The bulk of the affected planes are owned by US Airlines. United Airlines has grounded all 79 of its MAX 9 planes. Alaska said it cancelled 160 flights on Saturday, affecting about 23,000 passengers. Other airlines which also fly the planes have temporarily taken them out of service. Polls in Bangladesh opened on Sunday for a general election that is being boycotted by the main opposition party, with the country's leader Sheikh Hasina. Bangladesh, a country of some 170 million people, is the first in South Asia this year to head to the polls. Around 120 million people are registered to vote. The country has seen political unrest leading up to Sunday's general election. Polling booths were set ablaze on the eve of the vote, with 4 people, including 2 children, killed in a train fire, reported the Reuters. The country is also beset by economic problems, requiring a nearly $5 billion loan from the International Monetary allocated fund last year. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, in power since 2009, cast her vote in the capital Dhaka. A win would mark a fifth overall victory for her Awami League-led alliance. Overseas watchdogs have expressed concerns the country was heading towards a one-party system. The main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party is boycotting the elections after Hasina denied calls to resign and let a neutral caretaker government run the election. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. The Afghan Trust Fund announces Afghanistan's blocked assets have generated approximately $155 million in profit. Thousands of passengers face flight cancellations after major US airlines grounded dozens of Boeing jets. Polls open in Bangladesh election boycotted by the opposition. That was World News, and now in Development News. The Sri Lanka automobile sector is making over 108 types of locally assembled cars, including luxury vehicles, trucks, military vehicles, three-wheelers and motorcycles. The vehicles are already plying on Sri Lankan roads. The Secretary to the Ministry of Industries, Tilaka Jayasundara, says Vega Innovations has manufactured luxury vehicles, while Mahindra too has assembled and introduced vehicles to the Sri Lankan market. In addition, Microcars too has a local automobile assembly plant. She said the government is now encouraging these manufacturers to go green and look at assembling electric vehicles, and this too is now taking off. She said that the component and manufacturing industry, while serving the local market, is also exporting to companies like Toyota and Tesla, adding a new component to Sri Lanka's export basket.
Moving on with sports news.
The National Baseball Tournament 2024 kicked off at the Diyagama International Baseball Grounds yesterday. The tournament is organized by the Sri Lanka Baseball Association. The organizers said a record number of 19 teams were participating in the tournament, converging all the nations. They added the tournament promises an exhilarating experience as 400 cricket players vie for victory in 18 thrilling matches. The Sri Lanka Baseball Association said matches are scheduled not only on weekends but also on public holidays to offer fans ample opportunities to witness the excitement.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The RC Port City Hospital Private Limited proposes to develop a state-of-the-art hospital within the Colombo Port City with an investment of $100 million. Ashok Patrage, the chairman of RCD Holdings, said that this is a new venture and a significant milestone in the country's journey towards developing and attracting medical tourism to Sri Lanka. RCD City Hospital is a fully owned subsidiary of RCD Hospital Holdings PLC.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news, the shortage of kiri samba is expected to ease by the end of March with the anticipated harvest from the ongoing Maha season. The Ministry of Agriculture said a total of 780,000 hectares have been cultivated for paddy in the Maha season, with 80,000 hectares specifically dedicated to the cultivation of kiri samba. As per statistics, a total of 350,000 MTs of kiri samba is expected this season. The ministry said while the prices of all rice varieties have increased drastically, kiri samba, a widely used rice variety in the urban areas of Sri Lanka, especially in the Western province, has been in short supply for the past several months.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showery weather conditions are expected to enhance over the northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces from today. Showers will occur at times in the eastern and northern provinces. Several spells of showers will occur in the north-central and Uva provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the other areas of the island after 1 p.m. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragama, southern and central provinces. That was the weather report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The President says the duty of the government is to open avenues to income generation to meet the budget gap. Economists stress having a TIN does not mean that a person is liable for paying tax. The government says no firm decision on lifting the ban on private motor vehicle imports. Sri Lanka has recorded over 25,000 tourist arrivals within the first 4 days of the year. Sri Lanka spent $326.5 million on imported vegetables last year. The African Trust Fund announces Afghanistan's blocked assets have generated approximately $155 million in profit. That concludes this news broadcast. You're with Radio Sri Lanka, and it's a few seconds until 9 o'clock this Sunday evening.